Hi, this is Grandma Laurie. Today's story is The Mouse Family Pool Party. Come on, kids, said Mr. Mouse. It's time for our pool party. The Mouse family lived in Mom's garden. It was a cozy life. They had the run of the garden and the yard. The flowers and plants Mom had grown protected them from most things that could hurt them. A few days earlier, Alice, who was a few years younger than her brother Stanley, had been complaining it was too hot. Papa, how come we moved here when it's so hot? Complained Alice. Because of my job, sweetie, said Mr. Mouse. But we don't have air conditioning. How are we going to get cool? Alice asked. Mr. Mouse thought for a second. Let me talk to your mom. We'll come up with something. Okay, Papa. In the meantime, I'm going to stick my head in the freezer and see if that'll help. Alice went into the kitchen. Mrs. Mouse was in the kitchen when Alice came in. Hi, sweetie. I was just fixing a cool treat for everyone, said Mrs. Mouse. Oh, thank you, Mom. I'm so hot, said Alice. Alice took the ice cream Mom had just dished out and went to her room. Mr. Mouse came into the kitchen to talk with Mrs. Mouse about how they could treat the children to a cool adventure. I thought we could take the kiddos to the pool tomorrow, he said. What pool? Asked Mrs. Mouse. There are actually two pools, one in the garden and one in the front yard. Mom puts fresh water in them every day so it's nice and cool, Mr. Mouse said. I don't know, said Mrs. Mouse. The water could be dangerous. You never know what's in there. Relax, my dear, Mr. Mouse put his arm around his wife. I just saw Mom cleaning the pools really well before she put the fresh water in. It'll be fine. Did I hear someone say pool? Asked Stanley. He had been eavesdropping on his parents' conversation. That's the plan. Yee-haw! Yelled Stanley. The family talked about the pool party after dinner that night. What's the extra plate for? Asked Alice. Mom said, your cousin Marvin is going to join us for the sleepover tonight and then go with us to the pool. Stanley was excited. Great! That'll be lots of fun! Watch out, little sister! I see cannonballs in your future! Stanley loved teasing his sister. No cannonballs, said Mrs. Mouse. It's dangerous, and I don't like getting splashed. The next day was just as hot as the day before, but that didn't cool the happiness everyone had as they prepared for the pool party. Mr. Mouse grabbed the ladder from storage and took it over to the bird bath in the garden. That way, they could reach the top of the bird bath without much trouble. Before long, the whole family was splashing about in the pool. May we join you? Came a voice from above. It was a starling. As Mr. Mouse looked up, he saw more starlings come. I suppose so, he said. My family and I were just relaxing in the cool water. That's why we're here, said Mr. Starling. We are so hot and flying around looking for food. I'm Stuart, said Mr. Starling, and this is my wife, Sophie. Pleased to meet you, said Mrs. Mouse. Kids, said Mr. Mouse to the children, this is the Starling family. They're going to be joining our pool party. Alice was a little scared, but it didn't take long before everyone was having a good time. Until a starling swooped in and started splashing in the bird bath. Hey, yelled Mrs. Mouse. You're getting me all wet. I hate getting splashed. Mr. Starling flew in and stopped the starling from splashing. Stephen, stop that. You're being rude, Mr. Starling said. I'm so sorry for my brother Stephen, Mrs. Mouse. He doesn't often play well with others. Mrs. Mouse tried off, saying, Nice to meet you, Stephen. Now, could you please flap your wings in my direction so I can dry off a little bit more quickly? It didn't take long before everyone went back to playing and laughing together. That night, as Alice was in bed talking with Mrs. Mouse, she said, Thanks so much, Mama, for a wonderful day. I had a good time too, said Mrs. Mouse. She added, At least once Stephen settled down. It was your papa's idea. I'll give him a big hug in the morning, Alice said, yawning. Good night, my love, said Mrs. Mouse, realizing Alice was drifting off to sleep. I love you. This has been Grandma Laurie. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this story. I'll put a link to the illustrations in the description box below. Thank you.